A couple things I've learned about the mind and how it creates suffering is that it's either usually obsessed with oneself or with others. So, what is left when you're not obsessing about yourself or others? I believe that is where we find presence, spaciousness, and peacefulness. And why do we obsess so much about ourself? It's like the ego tricks us into believing that if you want to fix a problem, you have to focus upon it. And that might work well, like if you're fixing a broken appliance or removing a virus from your computer or something like that. But you're not a problem. And you shouldn't treat yourself and your life as though it's a problem. You just are. And maybe there's things that you would like different, and those will change, and you can put energy towards changing them. But you don't have to obsess. You don't have to ruminate. You don't have to think about things that you've already thought of before. It's a practice to get away from this kind of self-obsession. And I think one way of changing it is to notice it. If you don't notice that you're doing it, then it's just going to continue on. But if you start becoming aware of your mind's tendencies to fixate and become too obsessive about how things are and how you'd like them different, and wouldn't it be wonderful if, and things will be great when. If you notice these things, then you can just stop yourself and say, this is not helpful. If you enter a place of presence and spaciousness in your life, then you'll naturally do whatever needs to be done, and your life will change, and circumstances will evolve as necessary, and they will do so in a gentle way. It doesn't have to be a compulsive kind of thing. And when it comes to obsession upon the other, I think a lot of the focus upon that is the idea that your life will be better when others are acting in a way that you'd like them to, or when they're feeling better, and all these things that are ultimately outside of your control, because everybody has their own individual situation and their karma that they're working through. And so we have to find peace in ourselves, and we cannot wait until our situation around us is perfect and people are acting the way that we would prefer them to be happy. And the ultimate form of insanity, I think, when it comes to the other, is this idea that we will be happy when the earth is healed and utopian and in some kind of panacea. And a lot of people in the spiritual realm look at things in terms of extremes, such as, in 2012 there will be a global awakening, or in 2012 there will be a global catastrophe. It's like we're so on a level, of what we know is possible within people. We're sick of ego, and we're sick of the conflict, and we're sick of all the craziness. So the two ways in which we can imagine it being wiped out is through global awakening and global destruction. But there's another vision which is more realistic, which is that there will be a variety of different states of being that will continue on for many thousands and thousands of years, millions of years, and that is part of the human experience, is having contrasts, and having some people that have ego, and some people that are unempathic and aggressive, and some people are hungry, and this is part of our collective experience. And eventually we might get to the place where what we consider to be evils, such as famine, that kind of thing, will be very rare in the future. But ego will manifest in some way in some people, and we cannot put off our well-being until, let's say, 10,000 years in the future or whatever. There's just no need for it. It's like, you can think of the world, here's an analogy. Imagine you're in a shopping mall and you go into one of the 100 stores in that mall and you look around at all the different items that they have. Let's say you're in a clothing store and you think about how many different items there are. And let's say you had to pay attention to each and every clothing item, each shirt, each pair of pants, each sock, and then you have to do that for 100 other stores. Go into an electronics store and look at each of their, 5,000 little products. It'd be crazy, paying attention to every single little thing. And that's like paying attention to the condition of every single human being on the planet. I mean, on a certain energetic level, we're all spiritually connected, but we have to set boundaries if we ever want to be at peace, because we cannot wait until everybody is okay to be happy. That is setting ourselves up for punishment. So, we can choose whatever way we want to make the world better. For myself, I donate 10% of my income to the World Food Program, and at the same time, I know that is a small effect. I mean, it directly affects the people that it helps, but it doesn't change the world by itself. And that's okay, because things are as they are, and we cannot influence everything that we'd like to influence, but we can influence our own state of mind. And that's how the world will gradually, over many years and hundreds of years, etc., that's how it will change. People will change their focus away from what they can't control, their personal situations or the situations of others that are outside of their control, and focus upon what they can control. And the most important thing that we can control is what we focus upon and how we utilize our mind. So the first thing towards changing the way we interact with the world is changing how we interact with our mind, which means becoming aware of when we're being obsessive, when we're ruminating, chewing over things over and over that, it doesn't help anything change by doing that, and letting go of that behavior and just being present with what is. Because when you feel present and you feel spacious, that's when things feel peaceful and you can just enjoy whatever you're doing. It doesn't really matter. You could be sweeping the floor, washing dishes, you can, be checking your email, interacting with others without obsession. It doesn't matter so much what's going on in your life. It doesn't matter so much what's going on with other people. It just doesn't matter that much. And a lot of the craving and desire and obsession that people have in their life is towards getting to a place where they reach some goal and then thinking that things are going to be okay. For example, making more money. And, in my adult life, I've been very poor, bankruptcy poor, and I've gotten to the place where I live very comfortably. And in terms of suffering, it doesn't really matter. There's been times when I've suffered greatly when I was poor and when I felt abundant, and been happy when poor and happy when abundant. There is no final solution in terms of our life situation and external circumstances. It comes back to our mind, and that's what's important to understand in terms of putting all this energy towards some kind of external accomplishment. I mean, anyone who's paying attention knows that if you get famous, you're not necessarily going to be at peace. And celebrities are, not necessarily happy people. If you look at someone like Mel Gibson or whatever. And so keep in mind that it's all coming back to this space up here and how you utilize what's going on in your head.